Some of y'all remember the first time you really saw Diana Ross. Not just heard her voice on the radio, but actually watched her perform. Watched her move. Watched her command attention like she owned every space she entered. Something shifted inside young black girls watching Diana. Something that whispered, you can be that too. You can take up space like that. You can demand respect like that. You can shine like that. Understanding what Diana Ross taught black girls about self-worth means recognizing that representation matters. That seeing someone who looks like you treated as royalty changes what you believe is possible. That Diana's confidence and grace under pressure provided a blueprint for navigating a world that constantly told black girls they were too much or not enough. Do you remember how Diana carried herself? The way she held her head high and moved through the world like she knew she was somebody important. That posture, that bearing, that refusal to shrink or apologize for taking up space. These were lessons black girls absorbed by watching Diana long before anyone explained them explicitly. In an era when black women were still fighting to be seen as beautiful, professional, and worthy of respect, Diana Ross presented an alternative vision of what black womanhood could look like. Glamorous, confident, successful, and unapologetically present. Diana's physical beauty was undeniable, but what made her truly powerful as a role model was that her beauty came with strength, intelligence, and ambition. She wasn't just pretty, she was driven, she was smart, she was talented, and she refused to let anyone diminish her or control her completely. Young black girls watching Diana learned that beauty and strength weren't contradictory, that you could be feminine and powerful simultaneously, that looking beautiful didn't mean you had to be passive or let others make all your decisions. The way Diana dressed taught lessons about presentation and the power of controlling your own image. Her outfits were always impeccable, always appropriate for the occasion, always carefully chosen to make a specific impression. Diana understood that in a world that judged black women harshly, presentation mattered, not because you needed to conform to white standards, but because controlling how you presented yourself gave you power over how others perceived you. Young black girls learned from Diana that taking care of your appearance wasn't vanity, it was strategy. Diana's hair revolution told its own story about black beauty standards and self-determination. She moved from wigs and straightened styles in the Supremes era to more natural textures as she gained more control over her image, showing black girls that they had choices about how to present themselves. Diana's willingness to experiment with hair while maintaining her elegance showed that black hair was versatile and beautiful in all its forms, not something to be ashamed of or hide. The way Diana spoke, clear, articulate, confident, taught black girls about the power of communication. Diana could talk to anyone from any background and make them listen to what she had to say. She demonstrated that speaking well wasn't talking white or betraying black culture. It was equipping yourself with tools to navigate any space you entered and ensuring your voice would be heard when you had something to say. Diana's ambition was visible and unapologetic, showing young black girls that wanting success wasn't unfeminine or inappropriate. At a time when society often suggested that women, particularly black women, should be satisfied with limited options and modest goals, Diana pursued superstardom with obvious determination. She wanted to be the biggest star, not just successful, but extraordinary. And she worked relentlessly toward that goal, without pretending she didn't care about success or fame. Some of y'all remember older women, mothers, aunts, teachers, pointing to Diana Ross as an example of what was possible when you believed in yourself. These conversations happened in beauty salons and living rooms, at church and school. Diana became a reference point in discussions about ambition, self-respect, and the importance of believing you deserved good things, regardless of what society said about black women's worth. The way Diana handled public criticism and professional setbacks taught valuable lessons about resilience. When people criticized her for leaving the Supremes, when relationships failed publicly, when movies didn't succeed as hoped, when singles didn't chart, Diana kept going, kept working, kept presenting herself with confidence and grace. Black girls watching learned that setbacks didn't have to destroy you, that you could experience failure and disappointment without losing your sense of worth or giving up on your dreams. Diana's relationships with men were public and sometimes controversial, but they taught lessons about not letting romantic relationships define your entire worth or identity. Diana had relationships, marriages, children, but she always maintained her career and her individual identity. She showed black girls that loving someone and building a family didn't mean disappearing into roles of wife and mother, that you could have relationships while maintaining your own goals and your own sense of who you were beyond those relationships. The fact that Diana came from Detroit housing projects and became an international superstar made her success feel achievable. She wasn't born into wealth or privilege. She worked her way up from circumstances similar to what many black girls experienced, proving that talent, determination, and strategic thinking could change your life trajectory. Diana's origin story gave hope to girls living in difficult circumstances, showing them that where you started didn't have to determine where you ended up. Diana's perfectionism taught complex lessons about standards and self-respect. She demanded excellence from herself and others, rehearsed relentlessly, insisted on professional behavior, and refused to accept mediocrity. For young black girls watching, this perfectionism showed that having high standards for yourself wasn't arrogance, it was self-respect. Diana's insistence on excellence taught that you should never settle for less than your best, that preparation and discipline separated good from great, that respecting yourself meant holding yourself to standards that commanded respect from others. Do you remember how Diana's stage presence demonstrated complete confidence and command? When Diana performed, she owned the stage absolutely. Every gesture deliberate, every movement choreographed, every moment designed to create a specific effect. This level of control and preparation taught black girls that confidence came partly from being thoroughly prepared, from knowing your material so well that you could focus on delivery. Diana's stage mastery showed that looking effortless required tremendous effort behind the scenes. The way Diana transitioned from Supreme to solo artist demonstrated lessons about knowing when to leave situations that no longer served your growth. Even when leaving felt scary or brought criticism, Diana recognized that staying in the Supremes would eventually limit her artistic development, so she made the difficult decision to leave, despite knowing she'd face accusations of betrayal and ego. Black girls learned from this that sometimes self-preservation and growth required making choices that others wouldn't understand or support, that staying in comfortable situations could prevent you from reaching your full potential. Diana's film career, particularly her academic award-nominated performance in Lady Sings the Blues, showed black girls that they could excel in multiple arenas, that success in one field could open doors to entirely different opportunities. Diana proved that being good at one thing didn't mean limiting yourself to that single area. Even when later films weren't as successful, Diana's willingness to take risks and try new things modeled courage that many black girls would need in their own lives. The scrutiny Diana faced regarding her voice, critics who said it was too thin or not technically perfect, and her response to that criticism taught important lessons. Diana knew her voice had limitations compared to some other singers, but she also knew she could communicate emotion and connect with audiences in ways that technical perfection alone couldn't achieve. She played to her strengths while working on her weaknesses. showing black girls that you didn't have to be perfect at everything to succeed spectacularly. We're already working on a video about Diana Ross's most controversial moments that shocked Black America. The decisions, the relationships, and the headlines that had everyone talking. Press the subscribe button now so you don't miss it. Diana's relationship with Berry Gordy, complex and sometimes problematic as it was, still taught lessons about navigating professional relationships with powerful men. Diana learned to work with Berry's controlling nature while gradually gaining more autonomy, showing black girls that sometimes you had to be strategic about when to push back and when to comply. That gaining independence was often a gradual process rather than a sudden rebellion. That you could learn from powerful mentors while ultimately determining your own path. The way Diana handled motherhood while maintaining her career showed black girls that having children didn't mean abandoning your professional goals. Diana had children and loved them, but she didn't disappear into motherhood. She continued working, touring, recording, building her legacy. This balance wasn't always perfect and sometimes drew criticism, but it provided a model for black girls who wanted both family and career, showing them it was possible, even if difficult. Diana's business acumen taught lessons about the importance of understanding the business side of any career. Her negotiations with record labels, her understanding of contracts and rights, her eventual ownership of her own masters. Diana showed black girls that talent alone wasn't enough for long-term success, that you needed to understand money, contracts, and business relationships to protect yourself and build lasting wealth rather than just earning money for others. The way Diana presented luxury and sophistication in her lifestyle taught black girls that they could aspire to elegant, beautiful things. That wanting nice clothes, beautiful homes, and comfortable lives wasn't shallow or materialistic. It was recognizing that you deserved good things. Diana's obvious enjoyment of success gave permission to black girls to want success for themselves without apologizing for those desires. Diana's friendships with other powerful women in entertainment showed the importance of female friendships and professional networks. Even when relationships with Florence or others became strained, Diana demonstrated that women could support each other's success. The complications in some of these relationships also taught that maintaining friendships required work, and that success sometimes created tensions that needed navigation. Some of y'all remember Diana's interviews where she spoke about believing in yourself even when others doubted you, about maintaining confidence even when facing criticism, about knowing your worth even when the industry tried to diminish you. These messages resonated powerfully with black girls who faced constant messages that they weren't good enough. Diana's consistent self-belief gave them permission to believe in themselves too. The way Diana handled aging in an industry obsessed with youth taught later generations of black girls about maintaining dignity and relevance as you matured. Diana didn't try to look 20 when she was 50. She evolved her image appropriately while maintaining the essence of what made her Diana Ross, showing that aging didn't mean becoming invisible or irrelevant if you continued to offer value and maintain your standards. Diana's emphasis on education and articulation taught black girls that intelligence and knowledge were tools for advancement, that speaking well and being well-informed gave you advantages in navigating predominantly white professional spaces. Diana could hold sophisticated conversations about business, art, politics, and culture, showing that black women could be intellectually impressive while also being beautiful and successful. This intellectual development wasn't about rejecting black culture, but about equipping yourself to move through any space confidently. Do you remember how Diana's confidence seemed unshakable even in situations where she was one of few or only black women present? Whether performing for British royalty, appearing on mainstream television shows, or attending high society events, Diana carried herself with absolute confidence that she belonged wherever she chose to be. This confidence taught black girls that they didn't need permission to occupy any space, that their presence was legitimate regardless of who else was present or whether they'd traditionally been welcomed in those spaces. The way Diana negotiated her image over time, from supreme to solo artist to movie star to legend, demonstrated strategic thinking about brand development. Diana understood that staying relevant across decades required evolution while maintaining core identity, that reinventing yourself was necessary for longevity, but you needed to retain what made you distinctive. Black girls learned from Diana's career arc that success was about adapting to change while staying true to your essential self. Diana's philanthropy and charitable work taught lessons about giving back to communities, using success to benefit others, not just accumulating wealth and fame for yourself. Diana supported numerous causes related to children, education, and community development, showing black girls that success brought responsibility to help others, that using your platform for good was part of what separated true icons from just celebrities. The way Diana set the standards for how she expected to be treated taught black girls about boundaries and self-respect. Diana didn't tolerate disrespect or accept treatment that diminished her, instead insisting on being valued and respected appropriately. This modeling of healthy boundaries showed black girls that they could demand respect, that accepting mistreatment wasn't necessary for success, that people who truly valued you would treat you accordingly. Some of y'all remember specific moments when Diana's example helped you navigate difficult situations. Job interviews where you channeled her confidence, confrontations where you held her standards for respect, professional challenges where you remembered her determination. Diana became an internal reference point for how to carry yourself, how to respond to difficulty, how to maintain dignity under pressure. She lived in your consciousness as a model of possibility and a standard for self-conduct. Diana's relationship with her appearance and presentation taught complicated lessons about beauty standards, self-care, and the politics of black women's bodies. Diana clearly invested significant resources in maintaining her appearance, showing black girls that self-care and presentation mattered, while also raising questions about beauty standards and whose approval we sought. These complications were part of what made Diana a valuable teacher. She didn't provide simple answers, but modeled the navigation of complex realities. The way Diana handled competition with other black female artists taught lessons about maintaining professionalism. While Diana had competitive relationships with other singers, she generally maintained public dignity and focused on her own work. This approach showed black girls that you could be competitive and driven while maintaining class and professionalism. Diana's occasional vulnerability taught that strength didn't mean never showing weakness. Interviews where she showed emotion, moments when cracks appeared in the polished exterior, times when she acknowledged difficulty or pain. These glimpses of Diana's humanity behind the icon made her more relatable, showing that you didn't have to be perfect to be worthy of respect. The way Diana navigated predominantly white industries while maintaining her identity as a black woman taught crucial lessons about code switching. Diana could be Diana Ross in any context, adapting her presentation as needed, while never fundamentally betraying who she was or where she came from. This navigation required intelligence and emotional labor that black girls watching understood they'd need to develop for themselves. Diana's longevity, remaining relevant and respected across 6 decades, taught perhaps the most important lesson of all, that building sustainable success required thinking long-term, maintaining standards, continuing to evolve, and never resting on past achievements. Diana showed Black girls that initial success was just the beginning, that real achievement came from sustaining excellence over an entire career. The fact that Diana remained Diana Ross through all the changes, challenges, and transformations taught Black girls about maintaining a sense of self. Despite the pressures to conform, change, or diminish herself, Diana remained fundamentally Diana, confident, ambitious, talented, and convinced of her own worth. This consistency of self, despite external pressures, was perhaps her most valuable lesson. Know who you are and refuse to let anyone make you smaller. The intergenerational transmission of Diana's lessons, mothers teaching daughters who then taught their own daughters about what Diana Ross represented, created a lineage of Black female empowerment. Grandmothers who'd watched Diana with the Supremes taught their granddaughters about confidence and ambition, using Diana as a reference point, creating family narratives about possibility and self-worth that cited Diana's example across multiple generations. Do you remember conversations with older Black women who compared younger women to Diana Ross? She carries herself like Diana Ross, being a compliment that conveyed confidence, elegance, and self-respect. These comparisons showed how Diana had become a standard and symbol, shorthand for a specific kind of Black female excellence that combined beauty, talent, intelligence, and unshakable self-belief. Being compared to Diana Ross meant embodying qualities the community valued and wanted to see in their girls and women. The critiques of Diana, that she was too ambitious, too focused on herself, too willing to leave others behind, also taught important lessons. Diana's experience of being criticized from multiple directions simultaneously showed Black girls that pleasing everyone was impossible, that making choices that served your growth would bring criticism, that you had to develop thick enough skin to withstand judgment while pursuing your goals. Some of y'all remember Black girls who were explicitly discouraged from emulating Diana Ross, warned that her ambition was selfish, her confidence was arrogance. These warnings reflected real concerns about the costs of certain kinds of success. The debates about Diana as a role model were themselves valuable, teaching Black girls to think critically about success, ambition, and the compromises that fame and wealth might require. The way Diana's lessons translated across different contexts, from entertainment to business to academia to activism, showed their fundamental applicability. Black girls pursuing any ambitious goal could find relevant lessons in Diana's example: preparation, confidence, boundary setting, strategic thinking, resilience after setbacks. Diana's specifics were entertainment, but her principles were universal. Diana's complex relationship with the Black community, simultaneously celebrated and criticized, taught lessons about the complicated positions successful Black women occupy. Diana's experience showed that representing the race brought enormous pressure, that community could be both supportive and constraining. Black girls learned from Diana's navigation that community relationships would be complicated, but remained important. The contemporary reassessment of Diana's legacy shows how lessons from her life continue to evolve. Young Black women today analyzing Diana's decisions find new meaning in her story as they face their own professional challenges and navigate their own complicated relationships with ambition. Some of y'all remember specific moments when channeling Diana Ross gave you strength. Job interviews where imagining her confidence helped you project assurance. Confrontations where remembering her dignity helped you maintain composure. Diana became an internal resource you could access when you needed to remember your worth. The fact that Diana taught these lessons largely through example showed the power of representation. Diana didn't usually give speeches about self-worth. She simply lived publicly as a confident, ambitious black woman who believed she deserved success. And black girls watching absorbed lessons from observing how she carried herself. Looking back, Diana Ross's role in teaching black girls about self-worth reveals a legacy that extends far beyond entertainment. She showed that black women could be beautiful, successful, powerful, and respected. That ambition wasn't unfeminine. That confidence wasn't arrogance. She gave permission to countless black girls to believe in their own extraordinary worth. The lessons weren't always simple, but the fundamental message remained powerful and clear. You deserve good things. You can achieve extraordinary goals. You should never let anyone make you smaller. And your worth is inherent rather than something others get to determine. Diana Ross taught black girls that they were already worthy. They just needed to believe it as completely as Diana believed in her own worth. What specific lesson from Diana Ross's example has stayed with you throughout your life? Was it her confidence, her ambition, her resilience? Do you remember a moment when Diana's example helped you navigate a difficult situation? Drop your experiences in the comments below and let's celebrate the profound impact Diana Ross had on teaching black girls and women about self-worth. Hit that like button. And if you want to help us preserve these important stories about the role models who shaped us, the icons whose examples taught us about possibility and worth, please subscribe.